later today, Prince Harry will argue he was treated unfairly when he was denied security protection by the Home Office as he prepares for the start of a 3-day High Court battle.
Now it comes as Buckingham Palace officials reportedly prepare for critical talks on how to deal with the fallout from accusations of racism after the publication of Omid Scobie's book Endgame, as they come together this afternoon for a diplomatic event.
Well, joining us this morning is TalkTV's royal editor Sarah Hewson. Also joining us is former head of royal protection Di Davies. Let's start with you if we can, Sarah. The High Court battle, Harry is there, the big event. What do we expect today?
Well, this is the next stage of Prince Harry's battle against the Home Office over his security arrangements. You remember when he and Meghan left the United Kingdom, Megxit, they were stripped of their royal security. He has argued that that decision was wrong, that they should be entitled to that security when they return to the United Kingdom. This went to the High Court last summer. Prince Harry had offered to pay for his security when he was in the UK. He was told he couldn't do that, but he was granted the right to go to this judicial review in the High Court over the procedural unfairness, as it was described at the decision. And the reason for that is Prince Harry argued he couldn't properly represent himself because he wasn't told that on the committee that made the decision, this is RAVEC, the committee that decides on security for public figures and members of the royal family, were two members of the royal household. The late Queen's private secretary, Sir Edward Young. You might recognise his name. Prince Harry's not a fan. He's the one he described in Spare as the Bee. And also the Master of the Prince of Wales, his father, as he then was the Prince of Wales's household. So Prince Harry had argued it was unfair. He wasn't able to argue his case, and so it's in the High Court.
And Di, just to bring you in on this, Harry's offered to pay. This will not be at the taxpayer's expense. Is that not fair enough to allow him to have police protection? He is a royal after all.
Well, nobody should be able to choose who and when they can pay for protection in our country, rightly or wrongly. And of course, you're right to say he suggested he should be allowed to pay, but a judge ruled that was not the way forward in this country, and that's hence why we are where we are. What is interesting, one of the people, as I understand, he objects to, is the former commander of royalty and diplomatic protection, as it was in my day, Peter Loughborough, now Lord Peter, and he had 11 years in the job. And so his qualification and his knowledge of royalty protection arguably is equal to anyone. And as I understand it, that's one of the objections. Now, it's fair enough for him to be allowed to put forward representations, in my view, but we should note, and you should note, that every time he's been anywhere near an official royal engagement, he has been provided with royalty protection. But the truth is, and I've looked at this in some detail, the number of historical attacks where an officer has to draw a firearm, and that's the big issue. He wants people with firearms in this country is so rare. Princess Anne was the last time where a protection officer drew a firearm and sadly got shot 3 times. It is very rare. And so are the threats to both Harry and Meghan. He gets trolled, Meghan gets nasty trolls, but so do I. When I open my mouth, I suspect you guys might too.
I have to jump in there because there have been prosecutions for people who have made very, very severe far-right terrorist threats against Meghan.
Well,
I just wanted to correct that.
Hang on. Can I correct you? Please name them to me. I'm aware of one young man of 19 years of age. Yes, an assistant commissioner came out and said people have been prosecuted. I would ask your researchers to show me how many have been prosecuted, how many police inquiries there have been, because I can't find any.
I'm just trying to point out that it's very different to trolling, that was all.
So can I bring you in, Sarah, if I can? Look, I'm sick and tired of talking about these two, as you know. The fact is, this is cake and eat it. If you don't want to be a member of the royal family, if you don't want to carry out royal engagements, you can't buy security, you don't get it. End of story. RAVEC decided that's it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Prince Harry has argued it's not safe for him and his family to come back to the United Kingdom. They still want to be members of the royal family. They don't want to be working members of the royal family. You were mentioning the threats. Neil Basu, the former head of counter-terrorism at the Metropolitan Police, talked about real and credible threats from the far right about Meghan. They've both spoken about it. It is used by Harry to explain why they can't come back. He doesn't want to bring his family back. And there've been, you know, you can count on a couple of fingers the number of times they have come back here. But I think it would be a very difficult sell to the taxpayer right now to say you're going to be paying for their security while they're living in California.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to see how it all pans out.
We will indeed.
Sadly, that is all we've got time for here on Talk Today.